Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 154 of In a Good Way podcast. Today we have a returning guest, Diana LaGrassa. She was on episode 75. Her YouTube channel has changed names. It is now Waking Up is a Beautiful Thing to Do. I'll definitely put a link to it. If you don't remember her from episode 75, Diana is a multi-dimensional channeler and life coach. She has been experiencing spiritual happenings since an early age, and she definitely believes trauma helped in her spiritual awakening. She shares with us channel messages regarding the direction she was shown about future workspaces, and she also dives deep into alternate timeline experiences. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here, Diana. It's an honor.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here with you again. Like,
Absolutely.
it's been a year, I believe, since the last time I was on. I had to go back and look. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's been a year. And then, yeah, when it
Wow.
popped up, it said a year. And so much has changed for me, both internally and externally,
Mm,
since I was on here last with you. Um, we manifested a better place to live. We were living in kind of like low income
mm,
apartments, and now we've moved into a two-bedroom duplex, which has given me more space and more freedom to do the things that I want to do, which has been amazing.
mm.
One thing that I've been experiencing though, over and over, no matter where I work, is I watch the patterns, and ultimately what it boils down to is these larger companies I feel like are crumbling.
Mm.
It's slowly happening. I can see it within my workspace currently and within my boyfriend's workspace. And I'm noticing these companies that are built upon greed and just they don't care about their employees. They just care about their buck, and that's it. So I've been watching and, really just meditating on it, and it's amazing. We're stepping into this new earth timeline. So I've been really pushed by my guides to help foster in this better, more heart-centered workspace where everybody in this energetic exchange is gonna benefit.
Mm.
You don't, I feel like when people get to the top, they forget what it was like to be living paycheck to paycheck and not having any time or energy to do the things you love. Like, how many people do you know that go to work every day and by the time they get home, they're just like, man, I don't have the energy to do anything. And that's because money isn't the only form of currency exchange. And I feel like in the new earth, not feel like my guides have showed me where it's gonna be an energetic exchange. It's not gonna be based upon money like we know it today. So I'm really excited for that because then you move into people actually going after careers that are heart-centered for them. They want to be there. They want to show up. They want to share their light with other people. Um, So my goal is to begin a business where I can go into these companies or businesses, however you want to look at it, whether small or large, and really work with the leaders to come back to a heart-centered space and understand that when we're giving up our time for a company, we're taking that time away from ourselves, our family, our friends, and the experiences that are going to create richness in our lives. Richness isn't created by money. It's created by how we feel when we're showing up for these things. So if people are going into a business, they're giving their all, their effort. So I feel like helping these company owners, business owners, move into a space where they're appreciating not just these people giving up their time, but what they're giving up in the process. So I feel like that's going to create this opening for people to really just bloom because people are tired of greed. People are tired of busting their buns to make somebody else's bottom dollar. So I really want to help these people foster and create a work environment where everyone is respected, your time, your energy, your love, your passion, all of it. And it also needs to foster creativity because I mean ultimately that's what we're here to do is to create this new earth. So I've had to sit with myself and figure out why am I stopping myself from doing this? Why am I making myself small when I didn't come here to play small? And so many others haven't either. So I'd like to see people for once stop going, oh, I'm going to get this job because it's going to pay the bills. I want to see people step into jobs and positions where they feel fulfilled because then you're not giving up so much energy. Because if you're happy to be there, you feel respected, you feel like the energy is an even exchange, then it just, I can see it in my mind's eye, like the incredible space it creates for people to open up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It makes
So,
sense.
yeah, like, and it's crazy. I was just listening to not your most recent, I think it was 173.
Mm,
It was just you. And you were talking about being a medicine man and how, you're realizing now that that's something that you should have been doing a long time ago. But I want to tell you, don't be hard on yourself. You're exactly where you need to be right now. Like you held yourself back because you needed to take certain steps to feel comfortable in your skin. And it was crazy because when I was listening to it, overshare, I was in the shower, but my eyes closed. And I remember the first time that we met on Cosmic Awakening, something brought up a vision of you and I in a past life working together. And the same vision came up. It was
mm,
both of us standing there in robes with people surrounding us. And it was like we were handing out life lessons. We were handing out love, like whatever the people needed in their own little ways.
mm,
So it was really neat. So I'm excited to see you step into that role more because you have such I don't know, it's like a calming, powerful, radiating love about you.
mm.
And it's just amazing. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see you embrace that and see where you go with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, I now I get it. Like, how much, like, even that, right? To have to learn about how even past lives affects us so much in this life, right? And that's just,
Oh yeah,
some people I think will go their whole lives never even delving into that. So I'm,
of course.
yeah, and it's not to stay stuck. And it was funny because I think I had just explained that to somebody, and then, you know, the good old YouTube algorithm throws all of a sudden someone was talking about. I guess it's a guy that dedicated his life to, hypnotherapy and past life regressions and all that,
Yeah,
and so he was saying everything that basically I was saying to somebody about how. Oh, I think I did say some of it in an interview, right? About how, yeah, the past lives affects you so much. So I think that was a big thing of mine, right? In
yeah.
this life, not knowing why am I so hesitant to step into, because in past lives, I was
We've been
persecuted
beat
for it.
down.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was persecuted, murdered for it or whatever,
yep,
as crazy as it sounds. So in this life, you're like, yeah, why am I, like, why am I gonna go through that again? You know what I mean? So without knowing,
yeah,
subconsciously it's in there, right?
yeah, of
So
course.
yeah, yeah.
And I've dealt with the same thing, and that's one of the things I've been going inwards with is understanding that me playing small in this lifetime has a lot to do with being persecuted in past lifetimes. I know I've had past lives as a witch. Um, I've felt that wholeheartedly since I was young. I've always been very interested in the supernatural.
Mm,
And I remember being a kid and just sitting outside with nature and like, what can I get from this?
mm,
But didn't understand why. And now I find myself still doing the same thing as an adult. But then there's that part of me that's like, oh God, what are people going to think? How are they going to feel? How are they going to treat me? But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. What matters is that we show up for ourselves and we begin to take the steps to walk our path. And that's why I contacted you, what, last week or the week before, and was like, okay, it's time again.
mm,
Because I've just been sitting here, like, I haven't even posted on my own channel in forever.
mm.
But I'm ready to open up and explore all these avenues. So it's exciting to be able to explore some of them with you. Because again, I absolutely love your energy. You're just so calming
Oh, thank you.
and down to earth. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I'm gonna read something that and it was funny because I found it just before we got on here, and
Absolutely.
it's a rock. Oh, it just disappeared on me. Let's see. So Rockefeller didn't just build oil pipelines, he built the US school system to control how people think. He donated over 180 million, not to teach kids how to dream, but how to follow instructions. His exact words, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. The goal, train people to be obedient, punctual, silent, and efficient. Not creative, not curious, just ready for factory jobs. That's why the US school system looks like this today. Rows of desks, bells every hour, standardized tests, memorization over innovation. Industrialists like Carnegie and Morgan helped fund it too. To mass produce employees for their growing empires. Before you blame yourself for hating school, it was never designed to help you win. And it's funny because the book that I wrote and I read on my channel, that's one of the things that I covered.
Mm,
Our programming to work for somebody else and create somebody else's empire is so incredibly deep. But I want people to start asking themselves the questions like, what do I desire? What do I love doing? And why do I keep myself stuck in these cycles where I'm constantly putting out for other people, other people, other people? But then it also comes into service to others.
mm,
Is your business, is your company, are you running it again because that bottom line for you is money, 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 money? Or did you create this and even if it goes from creating from a heart-centered space, eventually some people will still lead into that greed. They
mm.
like the status that the money brings. So I want to bring that people back to their heart. And why did you originally start this? There had to be some sort of passion inside of you that said, the world needs this. The world needs this product. The world needs this service. Because I feel like a lot of people lose track of why they originally stepped into the role that they stepped into. And then why do they continue to be in that role? Is it because you just want to look good or because you want to be there for other people? Because in self-service, there's an underlying need for greed. But if it's in service to others, you're still bringing that love and connection to yourself by service to others. So I really want to start pushing people towards that. And if employers understood that a happy worker makes a good worker, if you're giving your workers the space to be themselves as long as they're being productive, then what's the problem? How many times are people told at work, oh, put away your phone? Okay, well, my stuff's done for the day. And I just needed to answer a quick text message, a child needs something or whatever the case may be. People need to have the space to be themselves, to make their own decisions. And I feel like we've built a society where, excuse me, we've been taught how to feel, how to act appropriately in a workplace. But it's just, it needs to change. It
Absolutely.
needs to change in a big way.
Yeah, and there was I don't know, a couple years ago, I think I started having a lot of visions of like the new earth, right? And
Hmm.
it was a beautiful thing. But in this, like now I'm seeing or I've been seeing the patterns for a while about how, as like you said, more people are starting to wake up to the like why am I at a miserable job, or building someone else's
Yeah.
empire and exchanging more energy than I'm getting back. But see, that's what they always, to them, I'm sure they believe they're 20 steps ahead, right? Like that's where you see
Hmm.
a lot of the AI and robots. Now I think they showed in Japan they had like a robot cop, right? So obviously they've been planning for this. They always knew that people were gonna eventually get fed up.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're trying to like, okay, you're not gonna work, it's fine. We got these robots ready that you're helping build in the meantime. So by the time
Yeah.
you guys get tired of working, it's gonna be okay because So what does that show? That even that, rather than be fair and be like, no, you know what, we're gonna have happy employees, we're gonna share in the profits with you, we're gonna make the working conditions better. They're like,
Yeah.
it's like they're just, I don't know, there's something in them that's not willing to meet people halfways, right? It's like they just want, even if it means that, well, we're gonna build robots. If you don't want to work, cool, and we'll make all the money, right? So there's this weird thing. So how do you see that going? I mean, for me, it's fine. I mean, I've seen. I think it's like, yeah, I see it that I don't know. To me, maybe you're more optimistic that they'll change. To me, it's more like we have to create our own things because trying to change them, I think they just keep finding ways like of staying in control power and being greedy, right? And so
Yeah.
I've always seen it that way as we really have to change. And not everybody's gonna want to, right? Because it's a huge shift, right? To just be like, yeah,
Yeah.
we have to really get out of their system in order to,
That's where the New Earth split comes in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So absolutely, there's going to be a lot of resistance. But again, I see those companies crumbling. I see it at work every day. People don't want to be there. We have a high turnover rate.
Mm.
And same thing in my boyfriend's work. They try to keep people trapped with, oh, we give you free benefits. But it's a factory. Everybody there, and I've worked in this factory, everybody there is so low vibrational and
Mm.
so easily controlled. And it's funny because now that my boyfriend has began his awakening and his energy is rising, people around him are starting to question, why am I here?
Mm.
Why am I making myself miserable every day coming to work where nobody respects me? There's a lot of favoritism. And so it's awesome to see them start asking him these questions. And I see it at my work too. People are starting to want to look for new jobs that are more geared towards what they want to do instead of being pressured by oh, well, I have to make this wage to survive. And there's another part of it where it comes in with the new earth is there's going to be the medical field. And disclaimer, I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm not a
Mhm.
professional, but in my own experiences, just in the last few months, I had a torn Achilles tendon. I was stuck in a boot for
Mm.
6 weeks.
Wow.
Well, going to get the treatment that the doctor gave me, I ended up with knots along a nerve in my leg, which caused even more pain than the initial injury. So using healing codes and just really meditating and asking my angels to help me heal it, like that, I've gotten so much more out of that than I ever did in my initial doctor's visit, which of course I don't have insurance.
Mm.
So I paid for everything out of pocket. It makes me really question, like, why do we go to doctors? It's a business. They're there to take our money. They're not there to heal us. They're covering our symptoms with pain medications or medications that cause multiple other symptoms for you, possibly. Like, is it really worth it in the end? Or would you rather sit down with a Reiki master or a sound healer? There's so many options out there now to keep ourselves healthy. So I also foresee the medical industry crumbling.
Mm.
If they don't want to change, they're going to end up, you know, as broke as the rest of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many changes coming in that my guides show me constantly. It would take us days to go over it. But the main one is pushing people towards living their dreams. We really can create our own reality. Just like, wanting to come back on your podcast. Everything this morning was like, no, you can't do it. You lost your original train of thought. You lost your original, oomph of why you contacted him in the first place. And then the neighbor started cutting their trees, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't do it because it's too noisy. Well, everything ended up working out.
Mm.
Like, it's fine. It's quiet outside. Internet was going out all night long.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so I made sure I had Zoom on my phone just in case. But it was like all these things were trying to stop me
Mm.
from getting on here with you today. And I was
Oh
like,
wow.
that's just more reason to push and do it because clearly somebody's going to get something. And that's another thing I did was set my intentions today for the people who need to see it or will benefit from seeing this will see it,
Mm.
you know.
Absolutely.
So many people are like, oh, I care about the likes. I care about how many follows. No, it's not about that. It takes one right person to like it, one right person to see it. And you never know the change that that can create. So I'm glad that I didn't let all of these little voices in my head tell me why I couldn't get on here today, you
Mm.
know, hold me back. Because there was a couple times where I was almost like, okay, I'm gonna have to reschedule with them because all this stuff is going on. And I'm like, no, not gonna happen. So I just
Mm.
meditated for a little while and
Yeah.
that passed. But yeah, it's crazy how life works. And that's
Yeah.
another message for people is don't let your limiting beliefs and don't let the voices in your head, your critical inner parent, say, no, you can't do this for this reason.
Mm.
Show up and show them, yes, I can do this. It might take a little while, but I can do this.
Mm.
So, yeah,
No, no, that's beautiful. And thank you for saying that because I think that's one of the biggest things like in life, right? Like or so many people that have had, something that they could have added to change. Not that it's too late, right? Obviously it's never too late, but it's like something that they could have added to push the world in that way. And I think too many people hold themselves back, like you said, because they think like, oh, who's gonna listen to me or this and that, and you know,
absolutely. I see it every day,
yeah, yeah.
every day. And I still experience it all the time with myself.
No, me too.
And that's
That's why.
part of the journey.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember even that, like when I used to, I deleted, like I had, Instagrams or Facebooks that I deleted with, thousands of followers, and it was just I would get in my head. I would post things, even years ago, and I would be like, "Oh man, people are gonna think I'm crazy," because it hadn't really caught momentum like it is now. Now at least there's
Yeah.
way more people that talk about the spiritual things. And when I was doing
Oh,
it back
yeah.
then, yeah, I didn't see really a lot of people doing it. And even now, when people would message me, it'd be in private messages. It wouldn't be like leaving comments, like
Yeah.
so I didn't feel like okay, I'm the only one. Even though they would message me, and I'd be like, okay, cool. Someone was meant to hear that message. See, even they were like afraid to, for people to see, like, oh,
To be authentic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because we're
just yeah.
taught,
Go ahead, go ahead.
no, we're taught that we should, act, feel, be, show up in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's just not true. And that's something I've had to work on with myself is, I started opening up more about the spiritual things in life and the unseen and the unheard things. And then I find that people like at work, they started opening up to me more, like, oh yeah, I feel spirits, or oh yeah, they couldn't explain their intuition. They didn't know what it was.
Mm,
And I'm like, that's something that if you pay attention to the small signs, your guides are leading you to where you need to be. But if you're so busy worrying about whatever everybody else thinks, you're gonna miss those signs. Like yesterday, when I was at work, I walked out to the trailer and there was a giant moth. I
mm,
mean, he was huge, just sitting on the ground, and he kept flipping over onto his back. So finally, I picked him up and I moved him. And then when I went and looked at the spiritual meaning, it's about transformation.
yeah.
And right now, I am going through a huge transformation internally, learning how to let things go, learning how to not believe the things that people told me growing up. You're not good enough for this reason or that reason. And coming to an understanding that that's just their opinion. That doesn't make it the truth. I believe that humans have a tendency that, oh, this person said something, it must be the truth. No, it's not. That's just their perception of their reality. That doesn't make it true.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much to that, like about yeah, I don't know why it's like that, right? But I mean now I see it differently, right? Now I see it like at that moment it's just their job. It's more for us to learn from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't hold like something happened recently, right? And I know there was something that rubbed me the wrong way. And then I just had to put it in my head that you know what, that's it's my lesson to not let it, still stay in a high vibration. And it's gonna be maybe their lesson, maybe not, to why that, right? Like why that.
Yeah,
So for me, it was just like, okay, it's fine. It doesn't matter, and I just gotta. It's cool, It doesn't affect. It's for some reason it's something to do with them. It's more to do with them than to do with me. So I just
they're
gotta.
projecting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they're projecting
yeah,
their own selves.
yeah.
Um, and I had a situation when I was a teenager. I was sexually assaulted, and when I finally said something about it, my aunt had slammed me against the wall, slapped me in my face, and told me I was a whore and it was my fault that it happened.
Wow.
Well, being a child that's 12 years old, you really take that to heart. You don't know any better. Here's this person who has you in their home and they're telling you this. They're an adult. They know life better than you do. So it absolutely destroyed me and a lot of my self-worth
Mm,
going through that experience. But when I look back at it now, knowing that at that time she was actually having an affair and her marriage was about to end, she was projecting how she felt about herself
oof.
onto me.
Wow.
So that was a very eye-opening experience when I could go back and look at it that way. And then I can give myself, that part of myself, the love that it needed and say, hey, whoa, that's not true. You were a child. You didn't ask for that. You're living in a home with her and she's letting this person in the home constantly, not realizing you're the only child that she wants, he wants to take anywhere. Like, it was crazy. Like it was a really eye-opening experience when I had that realization that she was projecting onto me, but it took me 20 years to figure it out. And that's a lot of damage done in the process. But again, like you said, that's our lesson to learn.
Mm,
And when we learn it is when we're supposed to learn it.
mm.
Because had I, came across that knowledge in my 20s, I probably would have just said, whatever, it was still my fault.
Oh, wow.
Instead of looking at the whole situation for what it really was.
Mm.
And she even tried to blame me for her marriage ending
Oh, wow.
at some point. Yeah. And I was like, because I was too hard to control, which, given everything I've been through, I was a pretty damn good kid.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
there's lessons definitely show up when we need them to. And it is how we look at them. And we could say, oh, yeah, that's my fault. When in reality, no, it's not our fault that a person has a certain perception of us.
Mm,
That's their own programming, their own experiences that they've had in life that have created this reality or this vision of how people should be, think, or act.
mm.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's super important.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, thank you for being open to share that because I don't know if you shared that in the first interview or.
I don't think I did. I try not to get too much into my personal life because it can, if someone's not ready to hear it, it can hurt them.
Oh,
I've
absolutely.
been through a
Yeah.
lot. But I try to be as open as I can to give people the space to say, hey, I can be open about this. I
Mm,
can talk about it. And things like sexual assault, the more we talk about them, the less they're going to happen because people are aware of them. So I've always tried to kind of be open with what I've been through when people come to me and ask me questions.
mm.
I don't like to just drop those bombs on them because some of them could be pretty heavy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's kind of like stealing someone else's energy in a way, like if they're not ready to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say I'm sure, but hopefully, I guess confident in a way that I guess that's the same word, really. Confident and sure, but that someone will be guided when if they listen to this, then they were meant to listen to it, in other words. So
Absolutely.
so hopefully
Absolutely.
that's what occurs. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. I
obviously.
think it's something that needs to be talked about more and normalized more, people talking about their traumas, because when you do that, you're in a way helping yourself release it from your body.
Absolutely.
I used to not be able to talk about my past without being in complete shambles or, bawling and snotting everywhere. But
Mm,
now I just talk about it like it's some story because I've been able to release those attachments to those stories.
mm,
It's helped create the person that I am today, but it's not who I am today.
mm. Absolutely. No, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
No, and I think that's an important thing moving forward about releasing, right? That's one of the like I've been wow, I just finished this training program, right, to get certified like as a yoga instructor.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, but the theme of release comes up a lot, right? In not every class,
Mhm.
right? But certain instructors will emphasize about releasing, and I think um you hear it, but you don't really take it in. Like now I take it in more, right? Like,
Yeah. Until you experience it, I feel like it's kind of like a myth that somebody tells you. And
mm,
yoga, I think, is important. Like certain stretches will definitely help release energy, like stretching your hips will release energy and trap trauma and just different parts of your body that you don't even realize that you store these things.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So I've learned so much. Like at first I didn't even really, because it's a whole different, it's still spirituality, but it's just, there's
Oh
so
yeah.
much. Yeah, yeah. And now it all makes sense, right? It's like I kind of just did it in a leap of faith, so to speak. And then after it starts making sense.
Yeah,
After,
exactly.
so yeah. But
Kind of falls under, even when you don't understand why your intuition is pushing you in a direction, even if it doesn't make sense, just go with it because it will eventually make sense.
absolutely. Yeah, so have you been seeing any other things? Because I know there was I spoke to several people and there had been this weird energy and I had felt it as well, right? So that's why I was like, oh, once like other people started telling me, I was like, oh, okay, so it wasn't just me. It was like different. But people were coming across, which is, maybe it's part of the test, right? To be able to acknowledge when there was like a trickster energy, which obviously can be confusing, especially when you're
Oh
following
yeah.
a spiritual path. Because imagine, like, how does it feel to feel like even the spirit world that you trust so much, but there's things tricking you, right? Like,
Hmm.
so we learn, like, okay, maybe sometimes I can't trust people around me, but I can always trust the spirit world. But then to have that kind of turning around and having a trickster energy, right? Certain energies or beings even. Did you experience any of that?
I did. Like I felt like my goals were being questioned
Ah.
big time.
Hmm.
And everybody's telling me you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do it for this reason. But then when you can sit down and understand that there's entities that will whisper into those people's ears, break their confidence,
Hmm.
make it so they can't do it. But then that also for me felt like a test of, what do you really want? What
Hmm.
do you want to do? How can you show up and help humanity? And I've been told by a few different people that I limit myself too much, that even though I feel like the ideas that I have are great, what I'm meant for is on such a grand scale that I can't comprehend it yet. And I feel that building that momentum building now. But yeah, I was definitely questioning things for a while. Like, is this really what I'm supposed to do? I actually started my certification to become a certified peer recovery support specialist.
Oh wow.
And all I have to do is go get my fingerprints. My class starts in September, but now I'm like, is that really where I want to place my energy? Is that
Hmm.
because I would love to work with sex trafficking victims. I feel like my positive outlook and my ability to forgive even some of the worst offenders in my life, I can help other people with that.
Hmm.
But is my help going to be greater there or helping bring in this new workforce for the new earth?
Hmm.
And building a better working environment for everybody where everybody involved benefits, not just the person you're working for.
Hmm.
So it's, you kind of just got to pick and choose which energy you choose to engage.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah,
it's a
it
tough
was
one.
pretty intense.
You feel you got clarity now
Oh
with
yeah,
your okay.
definitely. Definitely. Like I know this is where my heart and my passion is.
Hmm.
because I want to see a better world for everybody. And it would be nice to see those people who are, the big moguls that are greedy and, probably, no, we will never change them. But that doesn't mean that we can't bring in something new and improved that will kind of just push them into the background. Go ahead, have your robots. That's fine. But you're not going to have a fulfilled life. You're not going to feel good about what you're doing. And eventually, those robots are probably going to turn on you. So have fun.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Have
that's.
fun dealing with that mess.
I mean, and the messed up thing is like, I just hope it doesn't affect everybody. Obviously, right? Like, bleeds out into every because obviously,
Yeah.
right? It's like, it's like a war, right? Someone does a war over greed, and then look at everybody else that suffers because
Yep.
someone wages a war over what they want to get, right? Whatever resources or
And there's so many
lands.
resources out there. We're not limited to what these people have or do. And it's like they get in this mindset of I'm the end all be all of, whatever field they're in. I'm trying to think of what it's called other than narcissism.
Yeah.
But just basically they get in this spot where they feel like nobody else can beat them in that field.
Hmm.
Maybe not the way you're playing currently, but everybody can choose their reality.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think if we get enough people that wake up and start embracing who they really are, that's just going to give more momentum to the change for the new earth. People are
Absolutely.
going to stop being like, oh, I can't do this because of this, or, I won't have enough money, or, I would really like to foster people out of that lack mindset and to understand that we are not limited beings
Hmm.
at all. We've just been taught that. And sometimes the programming's hard to undo.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
understanding that not everybody is going to wake up right now. Like plant the seeds, great. But I remember in the beginning of my awakening, I was like, no, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be, and it's not like that at all. Everything's constantly moving and changing. And even beliefs I had at the beginning of my awakening, I find I don't resonate with anymore. And I'm like, well, I can't believe I, thought that or believed that. But it's not how it is. We are not limited beings. So I want to see everybody to stop limiting themselves for other people, especially.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that are so creative and just like, I love watching people's creativity. It doesn't matter what they're doing, but I'm always a fan of it. And I want to see people get more creative because if people get more creative, that's going to create more openings in the job field and more ways for people to do things that they love. And then people aren't going to be scared to say, hey, this is what I love. You can join me or not, whatever. But it creates a more, I feel like, cultured community. Like if you allow people the space to be themselves and bring to the table what they feel is, a good fit or a good idea. So I'm excited to see
Yeah.
where it goes.
Yeah. I'm excited too. Yeah. And hopefully we could continue having talks like this as new things come in every time. Whenever if you feel
Absolutely.
they're guiding you to share anything, you know, like the space is open for sure. And
Awesome.
yeah, yeah,
I
and
appreciate that.
yeah, yeah. Because I think that's gonna be the main thing, right? The collaborations,
Mhm.
because that's even always been a thing, right? The way they push, well, I can't speak for other countries, but here in the U.S., it's definitely been about. It always had a me kind of thing, right? Like
Mhm.
even when they sell us things, right? It's about, oh, you deserve this car, you deserve this. Everything's like about just all the sensory pleasures, right? Of every day or the
Oh yeah.
material pleasures in life, right? Instead
Hmm.
of community and that, right? Like building something for everybody to be in a good place as opposed to, me, 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 right? So obviously,
Yeah,
even that's part of
that's
like
a
the,
lack mindset.
yeah, well, that's why where that greed comes from, right? Or jobs that crush other, like something as simple as I remember this luckily it stayed. I was surprised that it's still there, right? But there was like this little mom and pop donut shop, and I remember when they
Mhm.
built this huge Dunkin' Donuts right next to it, and and it was crazy because it's sad. It like, well, what are they trying to do? Why would you build this big old Dunkin' Donuts right next to this little mom and pop donut shop? You know what I mean? Like obviously it's gonna take all their business, but by some miracle it's still there. I'm happy to see that. But little things like that, right? Like they always try to like destroy all the competition, like the Walmarts and everything. I remember when
Mhm.
Walmart and everything opened up, they started crushing like all the mom and pop shops around, and a lot of them did close down. And I'm always happy to see the ones that stuck around, but yeah, all that. So hopefully we could continue, um, building communities and all that good
Something
stuff.
is trying to block my throat chakra
I
big time
know,
right
I
now.
know. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time. Like, I guess we could end it there, unless you want to share anything else. Um,
There was something that was coming to my mind just a second ago, and now I can't think of what it was. Oh, again, that's the lack mindset, you know, putting other businesses out of business. Like, there's enough to go around. You don't have to be greedy. You don't have to be stingy. There is plenty of resources in this planet and outside of this planet, for that matter. So you don't need to make somebody else crumble in order to succeed.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
But no,
I
thank
think we'll
you.
go.
Huh?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say maybe because my throat is trying to close so bad. It's driving me crazy. I'm like, okay, do I keep pushing? Is there something that I'm supposed
No.
to say that something's trying to stop me? It's driving me crazy.
Yeah,
I
no,
am
you're
getting
good.
over a cold, but
Yeah, it's okay. Like, if you think of anything else, by all means, we could do it again. So, yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So, no worries. Um,
All right.
yeah, yeah, no, but thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared. Like I said, the space is open. I'll put all your links, or if anything
Awesome.
has changed, please send me any new links that you have. If not, then I'll put the ones from
Yeah, no, everything is the same except for the YouTube channel. The name changed,
okay, perfect,
which
perfect.
people can start looking for more content there.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'm being really pushed to get out of my comfort zone and quit worrying about what other people think and share the messages I have because the right people will find them. And there's going to be, I got to accept the fact that there's going to be people that don't want it, that they're going to say things. Like I believe I posted a short, and it was a couple months ago. And I didn't have, because I have no bottom front teeth.
Mm,
And I didn't have my teeth in at the time. They were out. It was my day off. And one of the first comments on there was like something about not having any teeth. And I was like,
wow.
okay, I'm going to deal with this. But I always try to show up as authentically myself as I can. So if that means I got an idea and I'm going to post a video and I don't got my teeth in, that's okay. I'm going to get hate. Like, and people need to understand that if they're stepping into the limelight and they're wanting to get messages out there, just be prepared for the backlash because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just like you don't like everybody, everybody's not going to like you. So the quicker that you can come to that understanding. And then there was another thing that I heard when I was doing my classes for coaching was somebody else's opinion of you is none of your business.
Mm,
Just because that's their opinion of you doesn't make it the truth.
absolutely.
So people can remember that and just hold on to that little fire that, started and is pushing you in a direction. You won't regret it. It'll work out
Absolutely.
eventually.
Absolutely. No, no, thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, it's always like, not to make it all morbid or whatever, but I do always say like, well, hey, if I was gonna die tomorrow, would I say this now? regardless of anyone's
Yeah,
opinion, regardless how do I feel about what I want to say. And if that's the thing, if I would die like having regret and not saying this thing, you know, then just say
yeah,
it. And who cares what anybody says? Because
exactly.
yeah, if I die tomorrow, I wouldn't be here any more to see what stupid comment they put
Exactly. You don't
or
care,
anything.
what people's opinions aren't going to matter
Yeah,
because you're
exactly.
going to reach those people who are meant to be reached.
Exactly. So, yeah, yeah. So, Diana, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your willingness
Absolutely.
to share. I appreciate you. I'll put all your links and then I'll put a link to the first interview we did so people could get to know you more as well, so they could
Okay,
see a little bit
perfect.
about you and everything. So, yeah, thank you. We'll do this again soon, hopefully. So, thank you so much.
Yeah,
And thank you to
thank
everybody
you.
that watched this far and tuned in. So, thank you so much for supporting the podcast and make sure to support Diana as well. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Life may move fast or it may move slow. I met a silly man who said he make it slow. We look up out towards space or even at the sky. One day pass away but never look inside. Breathe in, breathe out. Life is a maze but we'll figure this out. I mean human beings, I ain't got no doubt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever, forever.